Sadguru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Moye Vandana Bando Moye Jahara Prasade Bhai Bhavatorya Jai Janhara Prasade Bhai Bhavatorya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoy Janha Hoy Te Krishna Prapti Hoy Janha Hoy Te Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Korya Aikya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Korya Aikya Arana Kori Mane Asha Arana Kori Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rate Aise Utama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rate Aise Utama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Chakudam dilo jai janme janme Prabhu se Chakudam dilo jai janme janme Prabhu se Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite Avijave Nashayate Prema bhakti hoite ave jave nashayate. Vede gaya hara charita. Vede gaya hara charita. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Lokena Lokera Jivana. Lokena Lokera Jivana. Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Pada Choya. Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Pada Choya. Eveyas Kushukti Bhuvana. Eveyas Kushukti Bhuvana. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu. Lokena Lokera Jivana. Lokena Lokera Jivana. Ha ha Prabhu Kaura Doya Deha More Pada Choya. Ha ha Prabhu Kaura Doya Deha More Pada Choya. Oh, Prabhupada Patita Pavana. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ke. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane Saraswati Deve Gauravani Nirvashesha. Where's your cartel? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Nitai go Haribo, 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 Nitai go Haribo. Nitai go Haribo, 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 Nitai go Haribo. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Nitai go Haribo, 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 Nitai go Haribo. Nitai go Haribo, 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 Nitai go Haribo. Nitai go Haribo, 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 Nitai go Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. 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 Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira vanachari. Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Hey Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. 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 Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjan. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Lalita Vishakha Jaya Radhe Shyam. Lalita Vishakha Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Gurudev. Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravrishakacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Srila Abhay Charananda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Thakur Haridas Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Devi Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Rani Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai Granth Raja Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Samsthapak Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai Shri Shri Lalita Vishakha Sahita Radha Shyama Sundara Ki Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadhamo Bhagate Dhanamajnanadibhisaha Kalaunashtadrishamesha Puranarko dhunoditaha. This is Grantharaja Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 33, dealing with the most exalted Rasa Lila, pastimes of the Lord. And we're just finishing this chapter. Today we will discuss texts 32 and 33, which hopefully are on the board. So kindly repeat after me. Well, by way of introduction or to refresh your memories, a few days ago we heard a very wonderful description from His Holiness Bhaktirasayan Sagar Swami of text number 31, which I'll just quickly repeat. Ishwaranam vachaha satyam tathevacharitam kvachit tesham yat swavacho yuktam buddhimans tatsamacharet. The statements of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. Today's text, please repeat. Kushala acharitena esham iha swa-artha na vidyate viparyayena va anartha nirahankarinam prabho kushalacharitenaisham ihsvartho na vidyate viparyayena vanartho nirahankarinam prabho. Kushalacharitenaisham iha swartho na vidyate viparyayena vanartho nirahankarinam prabho. Anyone else? Kushalena charitenaisham ihsvartho na vidyate viparyayena vanartho nirahankarinam prabho. Matajis, Kushalaya-isham, iha swartho na vidyate, viparyayena vanartho, nirahankarinam prabho, kushala acharitenar iha swartho na vidyate viparyayena vanartho nirahankarinam prabho. Kushala, pious, acharitena, by activity, esham, for them, iha, in this world, swa-artha, selfish benefit, na vidyate, does not accrue, viparyayena, by the opposite, va, or anartha, undesirable reactions, nirahankarinam, who are free from false ego. Prabhu, my dear sir, my dear Prabhu, when these great persons who are free from false ego act piously in this world, they have no selfish motives to fulfill. And even when they act in apparent contradiction to the laws of piety, they are not subject to sinful reactions. Please repeat. My dear Prabhu, when these great persons who are free from false ego act piously in this world, they have no selfish motives to fulfill. And even when they act in apparent contradiction to the laws of piety, they're not subject to sinful reactions. There's no purport here. There's a lot of commentary here, but there's no purport. We're going to go on to text number 33, and we can discuss both of them together. This whole passage, they're all very similar verses. So please repeat. I think you have it on the board. Kim uta akhila satvanam tiryak martya diva okasam ishitoho cha ishitavyanam kushala akushala anvayah kimutakila satvanam tiryang martya devaokasam ishitushcheshitavyanam kushala kushalanvayah. How then could the Lord of all created beings, animals, men, and demigods, have any connection with the piety and impiety that affect all the creatures that are his subjects? There's a purport here by the servants of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder and Acharya of this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Savior of the modern world, our Lord and Master, His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As explained in text 32, even great personalities empowered by the Lord are free from the laws of karma. Then what to speak of the Lord himself? After all, the law of karma is created by him and is an expression of his omnipotent will. Therefore, his activities, which he performs out of his own pure goodness, are never subject to criticism by ordinary living beings. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnanam Jinashalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapargamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalata Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Madgavirapi Gopala Swikuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaivasam Payahapitva Rashiyustat Priyajanaha. Some definitions are in order here before we begin to describe or try to explain anything. Of course, the context of, we know, this Shukadev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, who was curious that how can Krishna do these things? dancing with others' wives in the dead of night. And by way of explaining, we've already heard the Lord is not subject to karma. Even the Lord's servants are not subject to karma. That's a harder one to digest, isn't it? We always like to somehow see the servants of the Lord as less than the Lord, and it's true there are different levels of adhikar. That's an important concept. Maybe we can explain if time permits. But here it's stated very clear. When one has the level of Ishvara adhikara, when you are an Ishvara, then you're not subject to this kind of karmic reaction anymore. And everything you say is true. Now the problem is this: in this world, all of us consider ourselves to be Ishwaras. All of us, no, I'm free from false ego, no problem. This is the problem. As we heard the other day from Sagar Maharaj, he very nicely explained, we try to imitate. Anukaran, anusaran. Instead of anukaran, we should go for adhikaran. Adhikaran means to actually have the qualification. And the qualification we will hear in a moment has been explained by our acharyas. But first of all, kushala, the interesting word here is used, kushala, meaning pious activities. The word kushala means much more than just pious activities. It means anything that's proper. It means anyone who is capable. It means prosperous, happy, healthy, pleasing. It indicates welfare. Kushala. Kim kushalam? You ask someone in Sanskrit. How are you doing? Kya hal hai? So that's one thing to note. Acharitena, by the actions that are performed. They may be of two types. It may be kushala or it may be viparyaya. It may be the opposite of kushala. Means something injurious, something sinful, something really ugra, ugly activities. All of us are impelled to do that from some time because we're not free of false ego. This is the thing. We don't have the adhikar that we think we have. One God brother told me that he asked Puri Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's God brother, what happened to Gaudiya Math? Why did they fail like that? And Puri Maharaj answered him in one word. He said, Adhikar Ulanghana. Adhikar Ulanghana. They tried to overstep their adhikar. This is what we do on a daily basis. Is it not? Because we think that we're so much greater than we are. Year after year after year, the scandals go on, the fall downs go on, the everything. We see it. We experience it. Still we don't learn. Sapashyati, na pashyati. Really dense. Therefore it's stated, manda, not only manda, but sumanda mati. We've all got really, really thick heads. And Prabhupada used to say, actually, full of cow dung, not brains. I'll take it a step further. Not cow dung, because cow dung is sacred. Buffalo dung. This is what our heads are full of. And the internet is full of this also, isn't it? And we're absorbed in that internet. What goes in must come out, either in the form of words or in the form of your actions. You hear it stated, acharitena, two types, kushala, akushala. So, viparyayena, by the opposite, sa-artha, it's not even in your own interest to get involved in this. Nija artha. Artha means your purpose, or something worthwhile. For yourself. Even for ourselves, we won't do the right thing. We don't realize who we are. So, because we're full of anarthas. Anartha is another one. It means something that doesn't fulfill your own purpose. Anartha, negative. And so this is for the ahangaris. But once we become nirahankari, and that's not an easy thing, then these things don't matter anymore. It's a little bit like the analogy Prabhupada gives. For an engineer, it doesn't, you can call it a heating system or a cooling system, you know, koi fark nahi, engineer ke liye. So, this is one thing. Sridhar Swamin, in his commentary, Nanu tarthi tepi kim evam sahasam acharanti tatraha kushaleti. Why does he speak this verse, according to Sridhar Swamin? Because someone is immediately going to think upon hearing this. Maybe some of you were thinking when you heard this verse that, okay, well, wait a minute. If Ishwaras are not subject to karmic reactions, then that means they can do anything, right? Sahasam acharanti. Sahas, a very interesting word. What does sahas mean? Usually we say it means something like audacity, boldness. What else? Something rash, foolhardy, daring, inconsiderate, cruel, violent, or here, as it's already stated, akushalam, viparyaya, the opposite of the good things, bad things. Even if a person who's free of all false ego somehow or other does bad things, like Arjun did bad things, actually. He was ready to kill so many friends, so many relatives, but he was not touched by sinful reaction because he was nirahankari. He was not acting on his own swartha. He had given that up in chapter 2 when Krishna chastised him. He was only doing what Krishna asked him to do. So when you're doing what Krishna asked you to do, that's adhikar. You will be empowered to do it if you're surrendered, actually. So this is why this verse, previous verse stated, therefore we should just carry out their instructions, not doubting about their level of adhikar. Worry about your own level of adhikar. Where are you going? Or where you came from? We know in astrology you'd have different types, right? There's the Rakshasis and the Gandharvas, and you can calculate where are you coming from, and you look at your life and you can calculate also where am I going. That's the important thing. So sahasam acharanti, even if they behave in the most, how do you translate this? Audacious manner. I'm going to settle with that for now. Firpi, this verse answers that they're not subject. Prarabdha karma kshapana matram eva tesham krityam nanyad iti artaha. He says this means that there is no purpose to fulfill other than burning up prarabdha karma when a saintly person acts. We'll return to that in a moment. The word kshapana is used here. That means abstinence, penitence, to throw something off or expel it, to diminish, to destroy, to suppress. This is what they're doing. They're just getting rid of their prarabdha karma. All right. Srinath Chakravarti has also commented here. He says, how is it that a controller acts independently? Verses like this show that it's simply lila. He has a different explanation, different opinions among different authorities. He says it's lila. We know this also. Because it's not possible to restrain those who are independent. Really, if you actually have adhikar, nobody can keep you down. This is a fact. You cannot keep a good man down. He's going to shine somehow or other. You have no say in the matter. We heard the other day, Krishna is God, you are not. So, and he says here the word is used esham. It's maybe vague. It just means of these. It refers to controllers. What kind of controllers? We've all been warning. What does it really mean to be free of a false ego, to be a controller? Who is that? Brahmadinam, Rudradinam. If you're like Brahma, if you're like Lord Shiva, they're on this category. Not somebody you think is advanced in this temple or in your community or somewhere else. So, really, really big controllers. These are the people who are being referred to here. Adinam and others are there because of their activities, which are What is he saying here? Very skillful actions, I guess you can say, kushala. And by the opposite, forbidden actions. Either way, they don't have any undesirable result, because that result inheres only in ego. There's nothing for the result to stick to if you have no false ego. This is the point. So he says, O Prabhu, because he's addressing, who is speaking again? I told you already. This is a quiz, pop quiz. Shukdev Goswami, and still he's calling Parikshit Maharaj Prabhu. Just see the example. If you're keenly listening, you'll notice these things. And we're supposed to take the hint. So, even having heard this much glory regarding how one is above false ego and can act according to the Lord's design without any worry about karmic reaction, still somebody will think that, oh, I am such a controller. This is the problem. All right, Sanatana Goswami, Kushala means piety, Esham means of the controllers. The word cha means not only in this life, cha, and what? And in the hereafter as well, in the next life, amutra, uses the word. Artha means the palam, the result, so he's making it very clear. I told you there are many different definitions of the word artha, but here it means karma palam, or the result of your activity. Viparyayena papneti artha. And viparyaya, the opposite of kushala, means sinful. He's making that explicit for us. So, va means in either case, means both of them together, in both cases. Anarthopi nasti, there is no anartha. There's nothing untoward or unwanted. Kutaha, how is it? Nirahankarinam ahankaribhyo vyatiriktanam, among those who are separate from the ahankaris, those who are beyond that, different. They don't have any ahankara bhava. So there's nothing for the karma to stain. This is the meaning. That's enough to say about that. Who else is? Jiva Goswami says, there's no gain for this. Yeah, they're all saying pretty much the same thing. So, when they act in a contrary manner, there's still no fault. The negative is understood. Why? Because they're devoid of ahankar. There's no contamination by that act. You're capable of understanding. That's why he's calling him Prabhu. Because he's capable of understanding. Or, Prabhu means you're also Ishwara. Ishwara means Prabhu. So he's saying you're also such a person. He's hinting like this, according to Jiva Goswami. All right. Those free of false ego are exempt. Even so, the idea is that each and every action is simply impelled by prarabdha karma. All right, so we have no comments here by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Maybe that's why the BBT editors decided not to say anything either. But in text number 33, how then could any karma accrue to the Lord? If all these people are his subjects and he controls them and they don't have any karma, then how would he have any karma? It's logic. All right, so here we get the word is used sattva, living beings. Ishitavya means essentially the same thing as ishavāsyam, things that are controlled by the Lord. We're all controlled. That's called ishitavya. So ishavāsyam idam sarvam, all this stuff is controlled by the Lord, including us. We're not controllers yet. This is the thing to come to. Prastutam aha kimuteti kushala kushalan vayona vidyata iti kim punarvaktavyam iti artha. Sridhar Swami says he speaks what to speak of logic. This is called kaimutya. Kaimutya. When you say kim uta, it means what to speak of, this or what to speak of that. So Sridhar Swami says he's presenting that here because he wants to emphasize there's no connection of good or bad karma. It bears repeating, he says. Sanatana Goswami says, if this is so for the Ishwaras, and they're devoid of fault, since they are without ahankar, then what fault can there be in the Lord who appeared to benefit these Ishwaras? This is expressed with a Kaimutika Nyaya. It's the same way of saying the same thing. Krishna is the Lord of all beings in tamas, rajas, and sattva. If you see the second verse on the board here, what does the line read? Should see. Someone want to read it? Tiryang? It's not there? So read it. Huh? Yeah, text 33 we're talking about. I told him to put it on the board. Okay. Tirang, Nara, Martya. Yeah, Nara means Martya. So 3 things are mentioned: Tiryak, Martya, and Devokasam. Who are they? Tiryak. What does Tiryak mean actually? Just like some people wear the Tiryak Pundra, right? They don't wear the Urva Pundra. Means sideways, horizontal. What kind of creatures or sattvas in this world are horizontal? Yes, it's a fancy Sanskrit way of saying animals, because they're horizontal. Tough thing to be an animal. Think about it. You've got 4 legs, you're horizontal, and no hands. You have to do everything with your mouth. That's pretty rough. Imagine if you woke up like that tomorrow, your whole life would be changed. Tiryak, and then Martya, those who are subject to death. That means ordinary humans like us. And finally, Diva Okasam, those who are living in the sky. Who lives in the sky? The Devas. That's how they sit in the clouds and throw flowers whenever Krishna does something particularly wonderful. They're already up there. So, he's pointing out here, who is this? Maybe this is Sanatana Goswami. He's pointing out that we're talking about those who are in Tamogun, those who are in Rajagun, and those who are in Sattvagun respectively. Animals in Tamoguna, us, we're in passion predominantly, and the Devas are mostly in goodness. So by their nature, they are to be controlled by whom? Ishwaras. That's how big you have to be in order to be exempt from your karma. You have to be like demigod level, even not ordinary demigods, but top demigods, top management of the cosmic administration. So, and the Lord is the Lord of even those persons. Ishvara, Sarva Ishvara. This is the Lord. So there's no question of karma here. This is the point. All right. Jiva Goswami, Ishitavya means that which has no connection or association because of being super Ishvara, either with Kushala, piety, punya, or Akushala, sin, papa. The Lord has none. And so no one in the entire class of those who are completely transparent and without false ego surrender to Him, none of them have any such flaw either. They're not subject to karma. That's why what they say is always true, because they don't make mistakes. Believe it or not, there was one person who is popular in ISKCON, and yet he recently claimed that Srila Prabhupada makes mistakes, or has made mistakes. He says, I think this is wrong. Without any shame, he says this. This is, we could say some things, but we won't. So, these are the commentaries of the Acharyas on this point. Now, some of you may be having a question about all this. We've heard, especially in text 32, it's emphasized that the only reason that these nirahankaris in this world are acting is in order to burn up their prarabdha karma. What do you think about that? Anyone have any doubts about this? There should be some doubts about this. I thought that, yes, what have you? Yes, this is the obvious question. How do they have any karma? Well, as I said in the beginning, there's different levels of adhikara. What is that famous verse in the 11th canto? You must be knowing. To act according to your adhikar, that is a guna, And to try to do anything else, that is a dosha. All of us have some degree of adhikar. We are empowered by dint of karma. But the devatas are empowered not by karma, like us. They're empowered by Krishna. Brahma Samhita also describes everybody gets all their whatever facility, intelligence, power, wealth, etc., coming by the will of Govinda. But indirectly, through the material energy, devatas, they're getting empowered. Pure devotees especially, they're getting empowered directly by Krishna. This is the point. So it takes some time to get to that level of Ishwaratva. But in particular, Rup Goswami says, Yad Brahma Sakshat Kritanishtayapi Vinasham Ayati Vinana Bhogayahi. He's stating a general principle. What is that general principle? That even if you are Brahman realized, can we have a show of hands here? How many of you are Brahman realized? Even if you are Brahman realized, still you're not free from prarabdha karma. Because the general rule is that the only way to burn up your prarabdha karma is to experience it. Because there's a certain amount that's on the docket for this life, and you can't change that. It's kind of like if you get into an airplane, now that the security is so tight, you will not be able to carry a bomb with you, so we can exclude terrorists. But if you get into an airplane that's going to Mumbai, you're not going to end up in New York because that plane is going to Mumbai, and you can do nothing about it once you're in the air. Basically, that's how it works. So prarabdha karma is like that. Even if you understand theoretically, and Brahman realization is always only theoretical, it's never practical. That's another flaw of just being a jnani. Even if you understand aham brahmasmi, Firpi, you cannot change your karma. For one reason, simple reason, is that if you burn up all your prarabdha karma, you die on the spot. Because the only thing keeping us alive and well in this body is prarabdha karma. Okay? So then what does it mean when he says, Apaiti namas puranena tate prarabdha karmeti virauti vedaha? He doesn't even say it himself. He says the Vedas say this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his commentary elaborates which Vedas, where does it say, how many verses, what are they, etc., etc., etc. Shruti Vakya. So this is a problem. Who's keeping the devotees alive if they have no karma? Krishna. Therefore, the reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, who tells you what to write in these books? Prabhupada just casually replied, Krishna. It's a fact. That is the level of Ishwaratva on which you become truly nirahankari and you are empowered by the Lord. And by dint of that empowerment, you don't have to suffer bad reactions. You don't get to enjoy good reactions either. Keep it in mind. But Krishna takes care of his devotees out of love. The facilities are, yes, yasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. Samasate suraha. They like samyak asate. They like to sit with the devotee in his heart permanently, completely. They don't like to go away. Ordinarily, we've been discussing prarabdha karma. When the devatas have to administer your prarabdha karma, that prarabdha karma has a limit. It's only for a certain point in time. When the karma runs out, divorce. We see it happen. The karma ran out, she's gone. Or the money is gone, stolen. Or, doctor tells you, I'm very sorry to report that, it's stage 4. And you've got a few weeks only. Karma ran out. There's nothing you can do about it. If you are ishitavya, subject to the control of these Ishwaras, our position is very small. These are the things we need to meditate on in order to understand this chapter. Really. That's why he's stating these things. And that's why he's spending 5 or 6 verses to explain. Why is Krishna not a rascal? People think Krishna's a rascal. Some of them like it, some of them don't like it. But people are just thinking that Krishna is enjoying other wives the way we would like to do. And we have to cultivate this knowledge in order to elevate our consciousness above that misconception. And we have to believe what we hear. And we have to act on what we hear also. Then we actually become elevated. So, the principle is here, according to the Vedas, apaiti nama spuranenda tatte prarabdha karmeti virauti vedaha. The devotees